Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Imani na Waumini. And tonight we are going to discuss a very contentious issue, yet very sensitive, on burial rights. Many are the times when people lose a loved one and they are torn between where to stand or where to fall in matters church, matters family, and even the government. Tonight I'm joined by Scott Kianduma. Karibu sana, Scott.
Thank you very much, Carol.
We are going to expound on that topic.
Sure.
On who has the upper hand, especially is it the church or the family when it comes to burial rights.
Okay.
So we've had cases where people, when a loved one dies, they lose a loved one, and they were very active in the church. And so, of course, the church has to take its rightful place.
Yeah.
But somewhere in between, there's a commotion on the mode of conducting the service, the choice of songs. What's your take?
I think it all goes back to what are we reacting to. For example, where is the contention coming from? Why the fights? And it's as a result of grief. And we read in the Gospel of John, chapter 11, somewhere there, Jesus wept. And the writers of the Bible had to make sure that that verse appears there. Jesus wept. He grieved a friend. He had lost a friend, and he felt sad, and he cried, which means that grief is part of that journey. And now when we are conducting a funeral, and there are parties that needs to be involved, the family needs the church needs the family, and also we also need the government to give permit and stuff like that. So these are three parties that are coming here to agree on something. And I would call them the victims or the family. They are very fragile, right, at that moment, and somehow they don't know what to do, and they're waiting for our guidance. And maybe the church has seen a platform, maybe to shine or to speak to a great audience and impose authority. So there are all these mixed feelings. So at the end of the day, you find people are having commotion, especially if the church was not close to the family, close enough to the family. Yeah. Maybe the person who has died, the deceased, has been sick for quite some time. Maybe the minister never used to visit them, or the elders never came to visit them, and now an opportunity has presented itself. So how do we approach this funeral? So all these questions.
So basically, what's the role of the church?
So the role of the church, first of all, is to offer consolation. Because in our traditions, for example, in PCA, and I also know in other churches, once a person dies, the person that you're supposed to call, of course, maybe you've taken them to the hospital and then they are pronounced dead. The first person you're supposed to call is your spiritual leader, maybe a pastor, and tell them, we've lost a loved one. And those who've studied theology in school, you're taught that immediately they tell you that, you can do a prayer over the phone, and then soon as possible appear there. Yeah. If you're able to travel at night, you just go there and be there with them. So the role of the church first is to offer consolation.
Will the church take offense if the family called someone else who's not their spiritual leader, as per se?
Yeah, and well, that can beg the question, why do you take offense? I mean, it's consolation that you are looking for. And consolation comes from anyone. So I think the church overreacts when they take offense if we are seeking consolation from someone else. For example, and also this brings us to what we call ecumenism, something that we've really lost. Yeah. Because Kitambo, back in the days, you would speak to the nearest, maybe priest of your faith who you agree with, maybe doctrinally, and maybe you can tell them we've lost someone, and then they can offer consolation before your pastor maybe comes. I have seen crosses that are Catholic, and they're written at the back, if I die, tell the nearest Catholic priest. Because they believe that maybe he will offer whatever is required. So sometimes the churches take offense, but I think it beats the purpose of calling a priest, because he's there to offer consolation first and foremost. Even before we talk about funerals and things, this family needs assurance that there is hope after the grave, there's resurrection. And those are just maybe normal words, but once you lose a person, you need to hear them from a point of authority. Somebody looking you deep in the eyes, telling you there is hope after the grave and there's resurrection. And we all need that. So if we lose that moment, if we don't take advantage of that space when they are vulnerable to tell them that, then I think things start getting messed all around. Yeah, because these people keep remembering, I lost a mother, I lost a father, I lost a child, and I was alone all night long. Nobody came.
Many are the times you've seen, because my neighbor is a priest, my other neighbor is a bishop. At a time such as when people have lost a loved one, there is so much energy from people who are not of the circle to come and show up, and everyone wants to dominate.
Yeah.
So at what point do you think the family stand to be guided to make a call? Because if they are attached to a certain denomination, of course the denomination takes charge.
Yeah, takes charge.
But there is this dear friend of ours who is a bishop of a different
denomination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What has been taught in theological colleges is that the moment you find that family and they are there very sad, and you pray with them, maybe speak some encouraging words, the moment they're settled down and now they know, well, it has happened and there's a journey here to walk towards the funeral, you encourage them, or you even help them to contact now their priest. Tell them, well, we've been with this family, maybe you even give them a lift to the hospital to take a loved one and then they died. So you tell them, we've gone this journey and now you need to come maybe the following day, so that you can start talking about the funeral. Because the funeral, although that is our topic today, the funeral is maybe the climax of this whole thing, and also beginning of another journey, because it's another journey altogether after the funeral. But somehow it's at the epitome, it's at the top there, and everybody else looks forward to the funeral. And now that begs the question, what is the end goal of a funeral? Why do we do a funeral? How do we do it? Does it change the destination of the person who has already gone? Why do we do all that? Yeah, so it begs that question. Of course, we do a funeral, one, to worship God, because the service of worship, and we are worshiping God for the love, for the life, and for the promise of eternal life. And it's also a service of what we call a service of witness to resurrection. So we are here to remind people, yes, we are dying and we will all die, but we will resurrect. We affirm again the words we say in the Apostles' Creed, the resurrection of the body and the life everlasting. And also it's a service of consolation at the end of the day. We are here to console this family. Yeah.
So in short, both the family and the church, they have a vital role in shaping the funeral service.
Yeah. They have a vital role in shaping the funeral service, but sometimes the church takes the center, which is wrong, that you can go to a funeral and not identify a family member because they've been overshadowed, and so everybody else is controlling. But I would think that the service belongs to God and to the family first. We are worshiping God, we should not lose focus on that, and also this family. And our role as a church is, one, to support, to uplift, and help them reflect on the life of the departed person. So we are just there to support and uplift them.
So when a family, is the family involved in preparing for the service during the funeral day?
Traditionally it was. I don't think they really do that now. Many churches don't, because...
You don't involve the family?
In preparation of the service?
Yeah.
Not a lot. Why do I say this? I'll speak from a PCA point of view, although we are addressing all Christian faith denominations. I looked at the service program of the funeral of past moderator Jeremiah Getao, and they have all the prayers written down, and where maybe a family representative will stand and what they will say. It's all written, which means everything was drafted with church in consultation with the family.
Okay.
So what do we do these days? You will go and take an old eulogy, the funeral program, and then after this they do this, after this they do this, and then you're done. Then the minister will come the following morning, okay, maybe on the funeral day, and then he look at the program. Hey, mulikosea, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to. And then at that moment you learn that these people never start together.
Yeah.
And if you look at the funerals of, okay, I've been studying past moderators, and I'm looking at their funerals,
Yes.
and you realize that the family members, maybe a family member will do the reading, and then the other one will do the second reading, maybe the children, and stuff like that, which means they were prepared early enough. You'll do the reading earlier enough, because you see their names are typed on the program. Yes. So it was not a thing that was decided that morning. Yeah, maybe you're prepared 2 or 3 days ago that you will participate in this way during the funeral.
But who approaches the church and tells the church we need to sit down and plan the service together? Is it the church to approach the family and tell them, you know what, let's have this, let's discuss the service? Or is it the family that approaches the church and tells them, kuna vile, this is what we want for our loved one? So who approaches who? Who makes the call?
I think the church is supposed to approach the family and tell them that we have a funeral, and this is the meaning of the funeral, and this is what we do in a funeral. Because you cannot assume that because the deceased is a Christian, that the children are Christians. So you need, even if they are, you just tell them again, this is the meaning of a funeral, and the end goal of the funeral is to bring healing to you people, and to walk with you this journey. Because grief is, we don't try to solve grief or to end it. We work with the people that journey. So you explain that to them and tell them, these are the expectations and these are the things that we do in church. What do you think? What would you want? I know of a case where my friends lost their mother, and they had just started earning. So they had money, and you see how people say that when we get money, we'll treat our mom, blah, 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 and then she dies. So when she died, they were really struggling of how to do the funeral, and they wanted to give her the best. Yeah. So how do they do it? They cement the grave, and they put on tiles, white tiles, and then conclude they won't throw mchanga down there. Maybe to them mchanga was dirt or something. So they decided they'll do the flowers the way Wazungus do. And on the morning of the funeral, somehow that topic came up in the vestry because somebody learned that.
That's what they want to do. They don't want to do soil.
Yeah, the elder didn't know, the district elder, and the minister didn't know. So the people start fighting and saying, no, we will do maua. And then the minister says, our theology and our doctrine does not talk of mauas. We want mchanga. Then they say no. And then he says, you know what, guys, I'll leave you, and then you can do the funeral yourselves. So how can we avoid all that? If the church came and talked with these people, and then they said, this is what we want. Yes. And then Mchungaji explains to them, no, we don't do this. By the time we are getting 2, 3, 4 days, they'll have accepted that, and then we can compromise and see the better way of doing things. Yes. But showing up in the morning now causes all these fights. So I think the church should come, especially because these people might not have even the energy or the courage to come to say, we are demanding this. Let the church come and ask them, what have you prepared? What do you have in mind? And then they can guide them, because the church acts as a guide anyway. But
we all have wishes. Yeah. There's this song that this loved one used to love. I want it incorporated in the program. Matters eulogy entry. Before you come to the songs, there's the issue of the eulogy, and there's the issue of the tributes. A funeral of a prominent person recently, the church took over, of course. It was leading the service. But so there were politicians. Yeah. The politicians came, they had the platform. So it was the other way around. The politicians had their time, and it was enough time. It was enough time. Enough amount of time that consumed when the family now was called to give their tributes.
At the expense.
At the expense of the family. So when the family came, The master of ceremony, was checking the time and telling them, muharakishe, muda huko, pande yetu, we need to listen to the sermon. And you could see very broken souls trying to eulogize their mother or their father, trying to eulogize, telling them what they feel.
And the church is not letting them.
The church is not letting them. They've given the platform to the politician who actually came to tumeleta rambi zetu. Then they delve into the politics.
To the politics, and maybe they didn't even know the person who died.
Into the development of barabara sijui gani natengenezwa, which is unnecessary around that time.
If you go to a funeral and look at the nuclear family, you'll always see them very deep in thoughts. They are not maybe even listening to what is going on. They don't even get what is going on. And if the church can invest in welcoming the politicians, because now the pastor, because he has the authority to convert a funeral into a consolation service or into a political rally, and they do that a lot. And those are selfish behaviors, I'd say, because I'll allow a politician to speak for 10 minutes in a funeral, and then kesho I'll call him to my harambe to buy a car, and then remind them, see, we were in a funeral somewhere with 5,000 people. And you spoke to those 5,000 people, so you come to my harambe and then they'll come. So sometimes they rob the family the opportunity to heal and give it to politicians, which is wrong.
What do you think should happen?
What should happen? Talk to the family. Ask the family. Politicians will obviously come. Maybe if this person was known, and even if they were not known, if people will come, a politician, hata kama ni MC ama nyumba kumi, somebody will just come there. Do you want them to speak? Yes or no? If they say no, respect that. Because the politicians cannot claim a right to speak.
Correct.
She cannot or he cannot claim a right to speak in a funeral. Today, Carol, if I was a minister and I went to the parliament, would they see me and say, oh, we can see a pastor there, should he come or can she come and say hi to the parliament? No, you can't. They cannot allow you to do that. But if they come to a funeral, we think that they have a right. No, they don't have a right. If they want to speak to their people, call a balaza. Call a balaza and talk to your people, so they don't have a right. But if the family feels that they should speak, maybe they've been working with them the journey, or they love them, or it's a political family, if they say allow them to speak, then it's okay.
But not on a political...
not on a political, not to convert a funeral service, a worship service into a
political forum.
Into a political forum. It's such a shame that I've been seeing on TikTok and on news that the pastor is fighting with the politician to get the microphone. Another politician went somewhere and then she was denied the mic, and then she went to the piano guy and took another mic and then came here and said, I'll speak. But that I find it very wrong, because it goes back to the family. How is the family feeling? Because the pastor is in control here and he can control that.
I think they lose it because once they see the mass,
they get excited.
And they forget now
the
reason why they are there, actually. The person who called the mass.
And then that goes back to what we call pastoral ethics and the things that pastors are taught in school, because you should not get excited. Why should you even get excited? That is lack of maybe masomo and exposure and stuff like that. Because sometimes when you see people behaving like that, they are trying to impose authority, or they are reacting to their, I don't want to call it low self-esteem, but something close to that. You're trying to impose authority and to show people, I'm the man in charge here, I'm the one speaking, so they do as I say, and I think it's wrong, because there's a grieving family here, and you shouldn't do that.
So many other times when in a funeral service, we have, in this case, for example, the Presbyterian Church is leading the service, because this is their member. Then we have pastors from bishops from other denominations coming in, and even other clergy from the PCA coming in. And there's need for introduction. Need, quote unquote. And let's have visiting pastors stand up.
Wape mic.
We'll take a short break and we'll come back and figure out whether is the introduction necessary. We'll be back.
And you know, in most cases, we are told, congratulations, you have a bouncing baby. So if you get a baby with special needs, forget it. You will not get the congratulation message.
Kindergarten were my best years in school. And people ask, why kindergarten? Because I got a very amazing teacher who understood me and was patient with me.
Jerry Maria has cerebral palsy.
I remember asking Mom, why me? And why did God choose me? And she said, one day she told me, why not you?
Why do I have this kind of a child?
Oh my God.
Past wasn't any different. The bullying still ran through into campus.
We are back on Imani na Waumini, and tonight we are discussing about burial rights, and joined by Scott with me in studio tonight. And we were, before we went for a break, we were discussing about the introductions, and mostly it falls on the clergy, the pastors, the bishops, the apostles, the archbishops,
Apostoles.
archdeacons.
Yeah, archdeacons, all of them are introduced.
So sometimes, depending on who has died, they come in large numbers. And a microphone is tempted to be given out for them to introduce themselves. And they introduce themselves, I'm so-and-so, I fellowship under the authority of...
the anointing of... and we are located at... and he takes your members. Thinking that you are kind, and then they take all your members.
So do you think it's necessary to have all the introductions at that time?
Back to the question of the grieving family that we are walking the journey with. What is the reason of introduction? Is it bringing healing? Is it helping in any way? I would think, let's say for example, a parent has died up country and the children are scattered all over the country, and maybe your minister is coming. You feel very good to see that your minister left everything else to come to the funeral of your parent. And so when they start, they say, I'm here because I know, for example, I know Kianduma and he's my member. That is why we brought him. And you feel very good. But again, that is a feel-good moment. But
for who? Is it for the
maybe for him and for Kianduma seated there,
yes.
And maybe sometimes later the family will be asking, well, will you later nanny and stuff like that. But again, there's these speeches from all these ministers, and everybody wants to console the family, and I want to console them better than you consoled them. So if you used one Bible verse, I'll use two. If you used good theology, I'll use good philosophy. And everybody ends up preaching.
Yeah.
And you see now the leader of the service is very uneasy because now these pastors are talking too much. And some of them are preaching.
And we are yet to get the sermon.
And we are yet to get the sermon. And I don't see the need of having all of them. I asked one friend of mine who is a pastor, why do you call other pastors to speak and during a funeral? Hey, do you know what I mean? Nikienda kwao, they recognize me to stand and I was like, that is very selfish of you. Nyinyi hamjakufiwa, it's the family. They would want to introduce all their friends, but they don't have that moment. So I don't think it's really important to introduce all the pastors or to give them the microphone. You can just tell them to stand up and wave to the congregation, and that's it. Also, sometimes I see ministers. Sharing roles with the visiting ministers, which I also think it's out of place. Why? Because a new minister comes to the funeral, they don't know the deceased, and then I tell them, you pray for the family. They have not acquainted themselves with this family, they don't know who they are, and then I give them the responsibility of praying for the family. I went to a place and the person who was called to pray for the family had a different doctrine. It was in my family, a cousin of mine had passed, and the person who is told to pray for the family is not well acquainted. Okay, not acquainted, it's not of our doctrine.
Yes.
And so the elements of the prayer were really disturbing to me, because he starts chimering, rebuking the spirit of death.
Premature death.
Premature death. Oh, death will not come to this family, blah, 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 blah.
No more death.
No more death. And then I'm there wondering, how will we go to Jesus if we don't die? Come on, Pastor, you don't have to say that. And now you start conflicting, because the person who was preaching had talked about death as hope to resurrection. We die and then we go to God. So it's not overly negative, like death is not so bad. Okay, the bad thing about death is the second death. That is what the Bible says. Because there's the first death, the one that we die here, and we die in hope to resurrect. That's not like a bad thing. The bad thing is the second death, if I die and I don't get to see God. But this person is saying we come against the spirit of death in this family, which means we will live like forever. So you see all these questions starts raising.
Yeah.
And you can avoid that by sticking to the pastor of the service. Me, I would encourage, if you're the parish minister, do the entire service. Finish it at the mwisho. Some families do employ family chaplains. And I've seen that in Catholic homes, and in some old Presbyterian homes, and in some Anglican homes. John Gatto, when Jomo Kenyatta died, John Gatto was called to prepare his funeral. During the funeral of John Gatto, Uhuru Kenyatta said, Gatto was my father's pastor.
Yeah.
He is the man he talked to, he's the man he confessed to, he's the man who he asked to critique his leadership. So they knew each other. And I would want such a person to conduct the funeral, who knows the direction they're headed. Because if I just came, I'm new here, I don't even know the doctrines of this church, and then you say, you read the prayers, you do this, you do this. I think then you might confuse the congregation. And it also hurts the grieving family, because you're always going back to the grieving family. How do they take that? Will they get healing, or will they be hurt more?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nyambura Kingori. Read a few messages here on Facebook. Family, who should have the upper hand? Is it the church or the family? So Nyambura Kingori says family, but the church spends over 2 hours introducing reverends, pastors, bishops, plus their spouses, then rush everything else, including preachings and tributes. Rashonde, Paul, the body belongs to the family, church, and the government, so the family has the upper hand. He has brought the aspect of the government.
Oh, yeah. The government comes in handy, because the government gives permit to conduct a funeral or cremation. Because you can't just say, because this child belonged to us, or this was our parent, so we can do anything we want with the body. So it belongs to, okay, the government has a say in it, but those are legal matters that we deal with. But the government just does its work. They give you the permit if you come with the documents they ask for, and then that is done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kawaks Daurin, the family has the upper hand. There is a rev who does it so well. They give the family members opportunity to press the button to lower the body, that is the lowering gear, and ask the head of family to check whether the coffin faces the correct directions. Other do it very fast, hata members hawajafika kwa gravesite and the body is lowered. Again, things you're saying about considering the family, sitting together with the family, planning everything with the family, from morgue to the gravesite.
Yeah, actually, what you're saying, because the lowering of the body, I also saw it in the program of the funeral of a past moderator, Charles Mohoroka Reddy, and they say one of the family members, I think they even have a name, who will maybe that kind of thing to take the body down. So if you never sat down with the family and prepared them to do all that, I mean, it beats the logic. So you sit down with them and plan and tell them, we'll do this, we'll do this. I've gone to a place, and then they had candles to light, and then they're told, no, we don't light candles here. Those are Catholic practices. Now these are people who are crying, and maybe this was their mourning, their grieving way,
Their way of
and
doing
then you're chasing them on that morning. But if you sat down with them and told them, can we look for another option? If not, the candles, if they would bring chaos and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Okay. We have a reverend in my home church. He's very considerate of the family needs. He gives the family all the time they need to eulogize their loved one. It's the last rite. The church should sit with the family and agree, but family should come first.
Yeah, family should always come first. Yeah.
That is a Susan Dongo. Martin Morito, funny enough, the family are the ones who communicate to the church, so the church does not impose itself.
Does it really? Does it not? I think it imposes.
The church, it does impose itself.
It does impose itself somehow. Well, the family approaches the church, and the church might say that, see, you came to us guys to conduct this funeral for you, so we'll do things our way. But it's not the way. We are doing it as a duty or obedience to Christ's commands. So we, not because you came to ask for help from me that I should take advantage of that and start patronizing you. No, we need to consider that they're grieving these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Geoffrey Kimathi, both should come to consensus. Each is very important to the other. We cannot ignore one part. However, family should be given the upper hand. So family.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Mainawa Karo, family has the final say. The church must accept the family program and wishes. David Nderi, the family should be consulted when it comes to burial rights, but the church should not lower her standards on time management. That is not time for people to bring their dramas.
Yeah, I think, okay, not I think, but that is very true, because the church is in control here, and they should help maintain the dignity of that funeral. So maybe time management.
Yes.
Stuff like that, and the church also should not lower its standards.
Yes.
It needs to maintain that, because at the end of the day, maybe let's say, for example, the person who died was a Women's Guild, a lady, and she looked forward, even though she's not seeing, she's not here, she knew that her funeral, the Women's Guild will participate and do the things that they do.
Yeah.
So because we are the family, we can't say we don't want those women and stuff like that. We don't want them to do this. So we can't lower our standards to fit in. And that is why you saw the Kema fighting with the church.
Yes.
Because the Kema wants the church to compromise and bring them in, yet they don't agree. Theologically and in matters faith, they don't agree. So the church should maintain its standard. It shouldn't lower it.
Yes.
And when it comes to this is controversial to say, when it comes to the church fighting with maybe the community or maybe other faiths, not, can we call them faiths? Maybe the African traditionalist. Yeah. I think the church can withdraw. It can withdraw because you see, our God is a jealous God, and he says he can't be mixed with other things. So you can withdraw, but again, do not lose the touch of pastoral care to the family. You tell them, because we cannot be fighting with these people for the body, and they can do whatever they want to do with it. At the end of the day, it's not this body that will resurrect. Yes. You can continue offering them pastoral care and stuff like that, and support. They say, well, there were commotion, but the church never left us. Yes. They've been working with us. Yeah.
Okay. Mushirikate, the way women's guild take over everything, especially burials, wengine mnabaki mkiwa watazamaji. Which brings to the question of contribution to the church. It's in the socials, it's also on YouTube, a funeral where a member of the Women's Guild, she was contributing to the church, but there were issues with the way the family wanted to conduct the service, the funeral service. They wanted to have the upper hand in terms of having a very extravagant funeral. But the congregation where the lady was, they had their standards. They did maintain some of the things, they couldn't go beyond. Yeah. But there was a tussle.
There was a tussle between the family and maybe even the church group.
Yeah. Should they have should the church be compelled to do more when it comes to their funeral, because their contribution to the church is very heavy.
When we say to do more, if the more is towards
Financial, of course. Implication.
If financial contributions and stuff.
They contribute heavily to the church because they are blessed. But now the church is not able to
contribute
more than what they've constituted.
No, they can't. That can't happen because we cannot give what we don't have, and we all know that. So if I know the Women's Guild do buy a casket,
yes,
and if the casket is 10,000 for me, for you, for a taller person, for a shorter person, it's 10,000 for everyone. And they don't go and bring you casket like this is the casket. No. They call the children or the spouse and tell them this is 10,000. We do buy coffin, so do with it what you want. And so they cannot give more simply because you feel entitled because you are giving more in church. You see.
So where does that leave the church? Because there's the issue of supremacy when it comes to financials.
Yeah, the issue of supremacy. No, the church shouldn't compromise her standards, and I think those are the standards that we just mentioned. Yeah. You cannot compromise your standards or your principles or your constitution or your way of doing things, because I don't think giving more money will bring any healing to the family.
Yes,
that is a feeling of entitlement the family has. Which should not be the case. Yeah, maybe my mom was giving a lot of money simply because she had it. And then another woman wasn't giving as much money because she didn't have it. So I don't expect it to be more special for me than for the other person. And you see, in the village where I come from, somebody was shocked that PCA took so-and-so to the church for a funeral service. And I was like, how are you shocked that we took them to the church? See, I thought near Masos do wanapelekagwa church. And people think that. And he was innocently asking that question. I told them, no, we take God's children who confess that they believe in God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and who've been baptized in church and who partake the Holy Communion. Yeah, those are the people we take to church, not the rich.
Okay.
And even burial, some people have been buried in the church compound, and some people mistake and say the people who are buried in the church compound were the rich people or people of influence. That was not the case. It was Kitambo. If you read church history, everybody was buried in the compound. Everybody, even if you go to those Scotland countries, Scotland, UK, America, you find everybody is buried near the church. Everyone who is a member of that church. But now we bury maybe people who contributed a lot to the growth of the church, not money-wise, or maybe someone who was dedicated to the service of the church and stuff like that. But we need to do the same service for everyone who comes to church. We need to do the same thing for everyone who comes to church. Because it also begs the question that we asked, will the funeral service determine the destination of the dead person? No, it won't. We say that whatever they did, their actions here in the world and their faith will lead them. So if they were not faithful to God, then we have questions of where they're headed to. Is it heaven? Is it hell? But not the church service. Okay. But some people have paid to be brought to church, to have several ministers. I also know there are denominations where you can pay to have a particular number of ministers. For example, in the mainstream churches, you find that your parish minister will bury you and maybe the ministers who are friends of the family. But there are denominations where you can pay, each minister is 5,000. So if you can afford 100,000, we can have... So
if I die, 20?
Yeah, 20 ministers in robes.
So if I die, I want 20 ministers.
Yeah, you can pay 100,000 and we can dispense that. I'll just make a few calls and tell them, kujeni kazi kuna kazi hapa, and they will come. So some denominations do that, but again, maybe they might argue for the consolation of the family when they open their eyes, they see all these ministers in white or black. But again, it's a misleading theology, and that is why we have Imani in our Waumini to think, whatever we do in church, is it really edifying our faith, or are we just wasting ourselves? Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So before we come back again to Choice of Music, please send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp number 0111 220044, or send your comments to CAC TV Kenya Facebook comment section and you read them as we carry on with this conversation. I remember during the burial of my grandma, alipeleka service mbio to date. Sijui ni nani, I think, Rev. Alipeleka service mbio to date. Bado I feel the family ingepewa ample time, so family comes first. Before we come to family service ilipelekwa mbio, the church, the family, as even the most comments read, should have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So choice of music, who reads the eulogy, the tributes, are they at liberty to give their choice of music, or we will keep having the usual, it is well, igoro, towashamani yakuo.
Yeah, or the church maybe chooses the music for you. In the last funeral that I attended, I remember I was invited by the family to help them do the eulogy, especially the church bit. She was baptized, she was confirmed, she joined to Women's Guild, she served in the guild. After I had written it for them, I called them and I told them to read it. All the children, and I told them, are you fine with it? Do you like it? Yeah, and then they told me, we love it the way it is. Because there's no way I would have wanted to impose what I want, and at the end of the day, it's their mother. About choice of music and leading the service, I think it's good to put the family in the spotlight and encourage members of the family to participate. Anthony Muheria's mother passed on, the Archbishop of Nyeri, Catholic Archdiocese. And guess who buried her? Anthony Muheria. He celebrated the Mass. I know of another bishop in US whose dad was a judge, and when he died, that man preached in the funeral. If you are able to, just do it. You are welcome to do it. I also know of a Presbyterian minister whose parent died, and the parent was a minister, and he had really asked her categorically, when I die, preach in my funeral. But the presbytery did not allow. Why Gueteko? That is what she was asked. Which I find it's wrong, because she had prepared and she wanted it, and it was
the wish.
And it was the wish of the father. And then they say, no, the presbytery says no. Even it hadn't met, but they said, the presbytery said no. But I think the family should be allowed to participate, choice of hymns, choice of music. They can do the readings, and they can read the eulogy, or have a friend of the person who has died read the eulogy. They knew them better.
Does it have to be the immediate family, or it can also be a member from the extended family?
They can choose. The family can choose. They say, we would want Auntie Nani to read whatever. For example, if today I died, the tradition dictates that our session clerk will read my eulogy. Well, our session clerk right now knows me, and he's a friend. But
so you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But maybe he didn't know me. He just got elected, or maybe we never interacted, or maybe we are not even friends. And then maybe he's not even fluent in Kikuyu, and then you and he has to do it. Well, I think. I don't think that's good.
I think in line with that, we went to another funeral, and the lady was Lucy. And I think the one who was reading the eulogy, before she started reading the eulogy, she introduced herself and said, we are here with the car Grace. We are here to bury Grace. So we asked ourselves, whose funeral are we again?
Yeah. We missed the church, we went to the wrong church.
So I think
and even when you listen to people who knew the person to the eulogy, they don't even struggle. They even spice it. And it's through that spicing, and at some point people laugh, at some point people cry, and that's a journey towards healing, and that is what we are looking for. If we tell a grandchild to do the reading at the grandfather's or grandmother's funeral, it brings healing. Even their parents watching that is a grandchild doing the reading. Stuff like that. Even reading what we call Shugo Shioriokyo.
Yes.
It's not just a requirement that we have to read them, but they're supposed to speak to our hearts. So I would think that if we are choosing who is to read the resurrection words, let's choose someone who knows how to read them. We just don't want someone to go and stammer there. So at the end of the day, we will listen to the stammering, to the struggling of reading Kikuyu, and they won't minister to our hearts. Why don't we get someone who knows how to read them in such a way when they ask, oh, death, where is thy sting? I mean, you feel it. They're injecting. Yeah. So I think if the family can be consulted, who is able to do what? Who is able to read? Who is able to read the eulogy? Let them do it. Let them have it. The Women's Guild will have their service. They'll give the card. They'll do whatever. The elders will carry the casket sometimes, but let the family do whatever. I saw a funeral of a minister, of a PCA minister. He was the director of communication here sometimes, and the family did his favorite song, The Gambler. You know The Gambler?
Yeah.
No.
The country music.
Yeah, I think they even had a guitar. That was beautiful. I mean, just allow the family to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So, matters eulogy. Do you think it's necessary to have the eulogy, born, marriage, the circumcision, I don't know for what,
the circumcision,
church, death?
I think because of our...
Do you have to follow that order, or it can be... I see some very unique eulogies.
Of
which
testimonies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like the deceased wrote the eulogy before they died.
Yeah.
They expressed themselves.
The eulogy of our past moderator, John Gato, was half his testimony, half whatever the other people wrote. That one of Bernard Muindi was all of it. It was his testimony. He wrote it down. And I think writing it down would be good. But sometimes, because of our culture and where we are in Africa right now, people fight writing that eulogy. Let's say, for example, this man had 2 wives or 3 wives. So they insist that you must include me there because of maybe sharing of the land and stuff like that. But if the family feels that they want that pattern, it's good. If they feel that they want it, but I would think everybody should write their own story. Me, I would encourage everybody to write their own story. Than the format given. Yeah, you should write your own story. Yeah, we should feel like you're speaking to us.
Than having the usual.
Because sometimes people mislead. Yeah, people will write. Because actually in up country, it's left to the Muhirega.
Oh, to write.
Yeah, the clan.
But they still follow the same format.
Yeah, they still follow the same format. Born, went to school, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so, but I think someone should write whatever they feel. Yeah.
Before we wind up today's episode, let's wind with the sermon. What kind of sermon? Because when I listen to, personally, sometimes I listen to funerals of which I've attended, and nowadays everything is streamed on YouTube. Like earlier on, I was following a sermon of a funeral of a friend who passed on, and the funeral was earlier today. And the preacher was preaching something totally different from death.
Yeah.
So does it mean that every funeral we have to talk about death? Or we have to talk about must we encourage the family using the words death because we're in a funeral? Does it fall?
This would be my advice to anyone preaching in a funeral. They can speak about hope and resurrection, not necessarily death. But they must point out that we are here because death has happened. And they can mention the name of the deceased person many times as possible to make the family get aware, like, I mean, this has happened, but you don't need to keep mentioning death. But you can preach hope and resurrection and comfort. And then root this message into the scriptures. And also it should be tightly written. Write it down. Because you see, we talked about excitement of seeing people there. So you might start saying unnecessary things. So have it tightly written, word for word. And after your sermon, which should be short, please let it be short, give it to the family. You can give it to the family, the sermon that you wrote. And don't recycle a funeral sermon. If it's the funeral of Henry Kianduma, write one for me and then hand it over to maybe my wife, my children, or my dog. I don't know. Somebody who is close to me, hand it down to them. And that shows respect for the family and it will show them that you sat down and thought about the dead person.
But how about those who are not able to
write
down the sermons? Yeah. Because the people who can write down, we know a few. The people who will speak without writing, and they'll deliver.
And they deliver.
Yeah.
Well, I might struggle with that because
You're old
I think I'm old school, and I think that it's a requirement for any pastor who has seen the door of a theological school. They are told, write your sermon always. But if you're not able to write, just keep it short, but prepare it and let it be about that a particular occasion.
Yes.
Don't lose track, because people here are very sensitive and they remember every word
Yes.
and every movement and anything that is altered in that funeral. Somebody will always remember, the pastor who buried my mother in 1967 said this and this and this. You're like, how do you remember that? Because they were very sensitive at that point, and they remember what you said. So stay focused. Don't lose focus.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't get excited. Don't see a lot of people. Just stay focused because you're talking about this person.
Okay.
I have seen that in the UK, and when the Queen dies, if you listen to the 12-minute sermon, they're talking about the life and the witness of Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
If a bishop dies, they're talking about the life and the witness of that bishop, because they knew him and they're talking about him and how we can learn.
And those are personal chaplains.
Yeah, and we can learn from his life, because, for example, in Protestant churches, we say that we believe in the communion of saints. So we don't pray for the dead person.
Yes.
That is why it was hard kitambo to see in PCA people saying rest in peace, because rest in peace is a prayer to God for the dead person. So we use different words. But when we say we believe in the communion of saints, we say that we look at the life of this saint who has died and pray to God to help us get the good, positive behaviors, and we can carry them on our lives. So you can focus on that. Maybe she was a kind person, just that. Maybe she was a silent person. You can capitalize on her silence and her gentleness and preach on that and get very many lessons to teach on her gentleness. So the family will be like, wow, she was good, he was good. People loved her and people saw it. Yeah.
So as we went, there's a question here, and I think it will drive us to our next episode.
Okay.
Kwetu, mama yangu ni wa full gospel.
Okay.
Na baba yangu ni wa Catholic. Mimi nasoma mutaratara.
All the way. Jitegemea.
My father died. We were left with no one to bury
Oh no.
him. Ilibaki tumemchoma. Cremation.
That's tough.
When you have denominations,
Different denominations.
in a family setup,
I
so there are challenges.
I would think the three denominations failed. You remember when we were beginning this conversation, we said that the nearest pastor should take charge, and then he or she can help you get your pastor. So the PCEA, the Mutaratara church, because I assume she's talking about PCA, should have come in for this child.
Yeah.
And then the full gospel should have come in for the father. And then the Kadho should have come in for the mother. And then the priest is there, the pastor from full gospel, and the foreigner from PCA meet there. Oh, we're all here. So how do we go about this? And it would have been beautiful to see them maybe come together to offer consolation to that family.
Yes.
And anytime a member of that family goes by the road, na anaona kibao ya PC, she or he is like, that's my church too. Anaona ya Kadho, that's my church too. Anaona ya full gospel, that's my church too, because they were there when we needed them. Yeah, so I think the three denominations failed. And a pastor should not flee, you can flee battles in a funeral. If there are battles, maybe the Mogiki came and you're fighting, you can flee, but you should not flee from the family. Let them always feel loved, affirmed, and they have a place to run to. They can come to you and say, Pastor, the funeral happened, it was a ceremony, everybody watched, but my heart is hurting.
Yeah.
So let them come to you. So let them see a shepherd in you, because at the end of the day, the pastor is a shepherd. I also remembered something before we close.
Before we end up, yes.
Yeah,
The
we were talking about introductions. If we keep introducing people, I think we lose it. If the funeral of Pope Francis, who died the other day, the Pope or the person who was conducting the funeral decided to introduce all the bishop, we could not have buried the Pope now because they were in thousands.
Yes.
So leave them alone. If the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, they decided to introduce the politicians, the president was seated in the pews, we could still be burying her to this day because they're introducing the president. Leave them alone. Yeah, so I don't think it's really necessary to introduce them.
It's okay. It's a topic we cannot exhaust in one day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us. And I think the topic on multi-denominations in a family setup will drive us into our next episode, where we'll also figure out or discuss or expound on when a denomination fails. When the church fails you, is cremation the way? Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me in studio.
It's all right. Until next week when we sit down and discuss that, it's a good night from us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kenya's hottest dating reality show is back. Hello, Mr. Right. Get ready for a new season of love, laughter, and those unforgettable moments when sparks fly. Renew your subscription today for only 329 shillings for the Nyota bouquet on the aerial decoder or 549 shillings for the Nova bouquet on the dish decoder. Find out on the all-new season of Hello Mr. Right, hosted by Dr. Ofweneke and Rispa Faith. Every Saturday